everybody. Welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to be looking at a different quiz from the actual site. So far, look, there's Subnetting Quiz 1, which is the one we're going to be looking at. We were looking at Quiz 2, which they give you the actual network with a slash, with a CIDR, and you have to actually determine what is the network address, what is a broadcast address, and what is a subnet mask. So I'm going to go to Quiz 1. This is similar to what we did at the beginning. So look, this is a class C. They want to know what is the subnet mask, what is the first host of subnet 1, and what is the maximum number of hosts per network. You see, it doesn't say subnet 0. Why? Because if it says subnet 0, we always start with a 0. It's like we don't know what we're doing. Let me give you an example over here. So look at this, 212, 234, 8.0. We're looking for 7 networks. Okay, let's do it in our head. If I'm looking for 7 networks, this is a class C, which means I only have one octet that I need to borrow bits from. And that's the last zero, which is what? 8 bits. Okay, 2 to the power what is equal or greater than 7? If I borrow 2 bits, 2 to the 2 is 4. No. 2 to the 3 is what? 8. So I had to borrow what? 3 bits. If I borrow 3 bits, what is the default mask for a class C? 255. 255. 255 dot what? Now, if I borrow 3 bits, 2 to the 3 is 8, but what are those bits? 128, 64, and 32. I add them up together, I get 224. You see this? Okay, now what is my maximum number of hosts per network? I borrowed 3 bits from the last octet, so I have 5 bits left. 2 to the 5 is 32, minus 2 is 30 hosts. Okay, now what is the first host of subnet 1? What is subnet 1? What is subnet 0? Well, the value of the last bit that I borrowed is a 32. Okay, which means my jump start is a what? Is a 32. 0, 32, and plus 32, 64, and 96. Subnet 0 is what? 0. Subnet 1 is 32. So I'm looking between 32 and 64. So what is the first host? 33. 212, 234, 8.33. And let's go ahead and check answer. See that? Okay, let's go next. Okay, this is a class B. Okay, so if it's a class B, what is the subnet mask? 255, 255 dot what? Okay, looking for 78 networks. Okay, 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64. No, that's not good. 2 to the 7 is 128. So I need to borrow 7 bits. Which are the bits? 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. So I get what? 254.0. Okay, now how many bits did I borrow from the third octet? 7. 1 bit is left plus 8 on the last octet is 9 bits. What's 2 to the 9 minus 2? Well, 2 to the 8 is 256. 2 to the 9 is 512. Minus 2 is 510. Okay, let's take a look and see subnet number 1. Now, the value of the last bit that I borrowed was a 2. Subnet 0 is always a 0. Subnet 1 is the increment number, which is a 2. After 2, it's a 4. So it's between 2 and 4. So 188.123.2.1.1. All right. Okay. Let's take a look and see over here. Perfect. Let's go next. Okay, I'm looking for 33 networks. Well, this is a class C, 255, 255, 255 dot what? Now, if I'm looking for 33 networks, how many bits do I borrow from the last octet? 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. So it's not enough. 2 to the 6 is 64. So I have to borrow 6 bits. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4. I add them together, I get 252. Okay, I borrowed 6 bits from the last octet. I have 2 bits left. 2 to the 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2 hosts. Okay, well, if I borrowed 6 bits, what's the value of the last bit that I borrowed? Is a 4. So it's 0, 4, 8, right? Forget about subnet 0. Subnet 1 is 4. So it's dot what? If 4 and then 8, my first host is 5. 202, 92, 67, dot 5. And let's check answer. There we go. Okay, let's go next. Okay, look at this. 62 networks. What is the subnet mask? This is a class C because of 221 falls in between 192 and 223, 255, 255. 255 dot what? Okay, if I'm looking for 62 networks, 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64. So 6 bits, which is a 252. Okay, I borrowed 6 bits. This is similar to the previous one. 2 bits are left. So I get 2 hosts per network. 2 to the 2 is 4. Minus 2 is 2 hosts. Now my jump start is a 4. So 0, 4, 8. Forget about something 0. So 4, what's after 4? 5. 221, 209, 8.5. You see that? Just like that. Okay, let's go next. Another class C. I'm looking for 24 networks. 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. So what's the sum of mass? 255, 255, 255. And then I say 5 bits, right? If I say 5 bits, what are the 5 bits? 128, 64, 32, 16, 8. I add them up together, I get 248. Okay, how many bits I didn't touch? 3 bits. Okay, now maximum hosts per network. 2 to the 3 is 8 minus 2 is 6 hosts per network. Okay, what is the value of the last bit that I borrowed? It's an 8. So 0, subnet 0. Forget about subnet 0. Then 8. What's after 8? 9. So 201.137.205.9. And I'm going to check answer. There we go. You see, this is how you start subnetting into your actual head. Okay, I'm looking for this is a class A network. Okay, I'm looking for 29 networks. 255 dot. See, that's where I stop over here. 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. How many bits is 5? 248. Dot 0 dot 0. All right. Now, let's take a look and see maximum host for a network. How many bits did I borrow from the second octet, folks? 5. 3 is left. Plus 8 is 11. Plus 8 is 19 bits left for the host. Okay. So what is 2 to the 19 minus 2? So 2 to the power of 19, then I say minus 2 equals what? So this is a number 524,286. So I'm going to put that number right over here. Now, what's the value of the last bit that I actually borrowed? Okay, it's an actual 8. So 0, 8, 16. So it's between 8 and 16. So 122 dot 8 dot 0 dot 1. That's the first host. And let's take a look and see, check, answer. And there we go. See, this subnetting is a little bit different than the previous one. Next, 22 networks for a class C. Okay, 255, 255, right? 255 dot what? Okay, how do I get 22? 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. So 5 bits, 248. Now, I borrowed what? 5 bits from the third octet, fourth octet, third, second, and first. I don't touch. The last is the host, so I don't mess. That's why I put these numbers over here. I borrowed 5 bits from here. 3 bits are left. 2 to the 3 is 8. Minus 2 is what? 6. Okay. Now, the jump start is 8. 0, 8, 16, and so on. Forget about subnet 0. Subnet what? 8. So what is the first host between 8 and 16? 9. 213, 195.69.9. And I'm going to check answer and take a look and see. See that? This is how this is actually done. You see, little by little, folks, you'll start subnetting in your head. I mean, yes, it's good to get a piece of paper and pen and write this down and see how this actually works out. Well, we're going to be doing more and more examples in our next lecture. So we'll see you folks soon. Bye now. All right. Well, everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, we're going to continue our interesting journey in subnetting. All right, watch this. This is a Class A network. So I know it's a 255 dot what? I'm looking for 53 networks. 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64. 6 bits is what? 252 dot 0 dot 0. How did I get the 6 bits? 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4. So my jump start is 4. Okay, so now I borrow 6 bits from the second octet. Okay, 2 bits are left plus 16 bits. That's 18 bits. So it's 2 to the 18 minus 2. That's what I'm looking for over here. So this is the actual maximum hosts that I get per A network. Now, what is the first available host of subnet number what? Of subnet number one. How would I actually get that? Well, what is the jump start? I mean, the value of the last bit that I borrowed is a 4. So it's 0, 4, 8. Let's focus between 0 and 4. No, because 0 and 4 is subnet 0. We're looking for subnet 1. It's between 4 and 8. So 116 what? Dot 4, dot 0, dot 1. All right. That's what I'm actually getting over here. And let's check answer. And there we go. Okay. Let's continue. I'm looking for 31 networks. This is a class C 255, 255, 255 dot what? Okay. How do I get 31? 2 to the 5, 2 to the 4 is 16, 2 to the 5 is 32. So 5 bits, 248. Okay. Now, maximum number of hosts per network. If I borrow 5 bits from the last octet, I get 3 bits from the last octet for the host portion itself, right? That's what I get. Now, 2 to the 3 is 8 minus 2 is 6. What is the first host of subnet 1? Well, what's the value of the last bit that I borrowed? It's an 8. So 0 to 8, no. 8 to 16. So it's actually between 8 and 16, which is a 9. 203.228.96.9, and let's check answer. There we go, right? And let's go ahead and go next over here. Okay, this is a class A network, and then I'm looking for 21 networks over here. If I'm looking for 21 networks, as you see, how do I get 21? 2 to the power what? Well, first of all, what is my mass? 255 dot, right? 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. If 2 to the 5 is 32, that means I'm borrowing 5 bits, which is a 248.0 dot what? Dot 0. Okay, well, I borrowed 5 bits from here. 3 bits are left, plus 8 and 8 is 16, so it's 2 to the what? 2 to the 19 minus 2. See this? So this is a number that we get, which we did see an example of that. The more you do this, the more you get adjusted to it, folks. Okay, what's the value of the last bit that I borrowed? It's an 8. 117 dot what? 0 to 8, and then 8 to 16. Well, 0 to 8, we don't actually do that, so it's actually 8 to 16. So 8 dot 0 dot what? Dot 1. That's my first available host over here. There we go. All right, let's go next. I'm looking for 26 networks, and this is a class B. Okay, if I'm looking for 26 networks in a class B, 255 is 8 bits, 255 is 16 bits. Okay, now how do I get 26 networks? 2 to the 4 is 16, 2 to the 5 is 32. So it's 248 dot what? Dot 0. Now, what do I get over here? I get 8 248.0. I'm looking for 26 networks. So how many bits left? 8 from this side. And how many bits from here? I got 5. So I got 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. So it's 2 to the 11 minus 2. See this? 2 to the 11 minus 2. 2046 hosts. So this is 2046. Now, what is the jump start? The jump start is 8. So 184.52 dot what? That what? The jump start is actually a what? Is an actual 8 over here, as you see. So 0 to 8, no, 8 to 16. So it's 8.1. And let's check answer. 180. Okay, I didn't do anything wrong. Instead of a 194, instead of a 184, I did 194. But as you see, 5281. Okay, so let's go next. All right. So 91 networks. Okay, what is the mass? This is a class B. 255 dot 255 dot what? 2 to the 6 is 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. As you see, if 2 to the 7 is 128, I'm looking for 7 bits. That's 254.0. All right. Now, I borrowed 7 bits from the third octet. 1 bit is left, plus 8 is 2 to the 9. So what's 2 to the 9 minus 2? Well, 2 to the 8 is 256. 2 to the 9 is 512. Minus 2 is 510 hosts. The jump start is what over here, folks? Is a 2. So 187.196 dot what? Dot 2 dot 1. And let's check answer. There we go. You see, the more you practice this, the more you actually get adjusted to it. So let's go ahead and continue. 72. Okay. 255. It's a class B. 255. 2 to the 6 is what? 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. Again, even though they're almost similar, but you must keep doing this again and again and again. 254.0. So 1 bit is left here, plus 8 is 9. What's 2 to the 9? 2 to the 8 is 256. 2 to the 9 is 512, minus 2 is 510, so 510 holes. My jump start is a 2, so 186.143.2 dot what? Dot 1. Let's check answer. There we go. All right. Okay, look at this one. 18 networks. Subnet mask 255, 255 dot what? 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. So I need to borrow 5 bits, which is a 248.0. I borrow 3 bits from here. I mean 5 bits, so 3 bits are left, plus 8 is 2 to the 11. What's 2 to the 11 minus 2? 2046, right? 2046. First available host. The jump start is a what? An 8. So what does that mean, folks? 141.8.1. And let's check answer. There we go. All right. So let's continue. 93. Okay, this is a class A, 255. Dot what? 2 to the 6 is 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. If I add the 7 bits, I get a 254. Dot 0, dot 0. Okay, I borrowed 7 bits over here. 1 bit is left, plus 8, and 8 is 16. So it's 2 to the what? It's 2 to the 17 minus 2. 131070. See this? So 131070. And that's what I'm putting over here. Now, what is the first host of subnet 1? Well, 123 dot what? How did I get 254 again, folks? Oh, it's 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. Jumpstart is 2. So it's 2 dot 0 dot 1. All right. And check answer. And there we go, as you see over here. So this is how we do it. So let's do one more. Okay, 45 networks. 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64. Subnet mask is 255, 255. Okay, we borrowed 6 bits, right? 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4. It's a 252. Dot 0. Okay, how many bits did I borrow, folks? 6. So 8 plus 2 is 10. So what is 2 to the 10 minus 2? 2 to the 8 is what? 2 to the 6, 2 to the 9 is 512. 2 to the 10 is 1024. Minus 2 is 1022. Okay, well, what's the first available host? 189 dot what? Dot 209 dot. Okay, well, the jump start is what over here? It's a 4, so it's 4 dot 1. Because I don't look at subnet 0. And let's take a look and check answer. There we go. You see, you have to stick to this site. The more you do it, the more you start subnetting in your head, and there's nothing that you should actually worry about. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take a little break, and we'll see you folks in our next lecture for more and more subnetting. Bye now. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Mo again. Let's continue our interesting journey with subnetting in our head. All right. So let's take a look and see over here. Let's see something that we didn't look at. Okay, let's do a slash. What is this? A slash what? We're looking for 19 networks. It's a class C. 255, 255, 255 is what? 24 bits. Well, it's a class C. I'm looking for 19 networks. 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. So 5 bits is 248. Okay, I borrowed 5 bits from the last octet. I need 3 bits left. 2 to the 3 is 8. Minus 2 is 6 holes per a network. What is the first available host of subnet number 1? What do I do in this case? Well, the value of the last bit that I borrowed is an 8. All right, so it's 0, 8, 16. Well, what is it between 8 and 16? 8 is a network ID. 15 is a broadcast. 15 is a broadcast. 14 is the last host. 9 is the first host. 195.17.189. What? 9. And let's check answer. There we go. All right. We're looking for 40 networks. Well, this is a class C, 255, 255, 255 dot what? Well, I'm looking for 40 networks. 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64, so I have to borrow 6 bits. If I add those bits, what do I get? 252. I borrowed 6 bits. 2 bits are left. 2 to the 2 is 4. Minus 2 equals what? 2 hosts per a network. What is the first host? Well, I borrowed what? 6 bits. What is the value of the last bit? 4. 0, 4, 8. It's between 4 and 8. 4 is the network ID. 7 is the broadcast. 5 is the first host. .72.47.5 and check answer. There we go. If you could do 10 straight without a mistake, you are good. Let's go next. So, okay, I'm looking for 58 networks. See, as a lot of them like similar, they're trying to confuse you. So, no, take it, keep doing it, and you'll be subnetting like the way I'm subnetting, and most likely, probably you'll be better. Okay, this is a Class C address. What is the subnet mask? 255, 255, 255 dot what? Okay, I'm looking for 58 networks. 2 to the 5 is 32. 2 to the 6 is 64. Again, this is a 252. See this? When you do it, you remember it. That's why it's a repetition. Yeah, wow, 6 bits, 2 bits left. 2 to the 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2 host. Okay, now my jump start is what? It's 4, 0, 4, 8. It's between 4 and 8. Oh, it's 5. 198, right? So 198.248.21 dot what? Dot 5. And check answer. There we go. Next, 26 networks. Okay, this is the class what? Class C, 255. 255. 255. Dot what? 2 to the 4 is 16. 2 to the 5 is 32. 248. Okay, I borrowed what? 5 bits. 3 bits are left. 2 to the 3 is 8. Minus 2 is 6 hosts per network. The jump start is 8. The first host is 9. See how better we're getting at this? Dot 228. Dot 64. Dot 9. Let me check answer. There we go. Next. Okay, 111 networks, and it's a class B. 255, 255. Okay, 2 to the 6 is 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. Now, 2 to the power 7 is 128, so I need to borrow 7 bits. 254.0. Now, maximum number. I borrowed 7 bits from the third. 1 plus 8 is 9, which is 512 minus 2 is 510. The value of the last bit that I borrowed is a what, folks? Is a 2. So 0, 2, forget about 0. It's between 2 and 4. 181, 191, 199.2 dot what? 1. There we go. And check answer. And there we go. Next. Okay, 44 networks. This is a class C, 255, 255, 255, right? Not what? Okay, 2 to the 6 is 64, right? 2 to the 6 is 64 over here, as you see. So I borrow 6 bits, I will get 252. Okay, I borrowed 6 bits, 2 bits are left, 2 to the 2 is 4, minus 2 is 2 hosts per network. The value of the last bit that I borrowed is a 4. So what's the first host? It's a 5. 115 60.5 and check answer. And there we go. All right. Okay. Let's go next. This is a class B, 94 networks, 255, 255. Now, when you have 255, 255, I'm looking for 94. 2 to the 6 is 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. So I'm borrowing 7 bits over here. If I borrow 7 bits, what am I actually looking for? 254.0, right? Okay. Now, max number of hosts per network. I borrowed 7 bits. 1 plus 8 is 9. 512 minus 2 is 510. The value of the last bit that I borrowed is a 2. So it's going to be 2.1, 187.161.2.1. And let's check answer. There we go. All right. Okay, 47, 51. Look at all this. Look, you just have to keep repeating and repeating. Let's do, okay, I like to do a class A. This is a class A. Subnet mask 255 dot. How do I get 89 networks? 2 to the 6 is 64. 2 to the 7 is 128. So when I do 2 to the 7 is 254.0.0. Now, if I actually borrow 7 bits, 8 and 8 is 16 and 117. So, oh, I got the answer right over here. All right, from a previous example. So this is a maximum host per network. Now my jump start is a 2, so 120.2.0.1. Let's take a look. There we go. All right. You see, I mean, what I'm trying to say is you have to keep on practicing and practicing. Okay. Oh, sub 7 networks. So what? It's a class C. This is an easy one. 255, 255, 255. 2 to the 3 is 8. 128, 64, and 32 is what? 224. All right. Okay. I borrowed 3 bits. I have 5 bits. 2 to the 5 is 32. Minus 2 is 30 hosts per network. The value of the last bit that I borrowed is a 32. So what's after 32? Come on. 33. All right. 193.73.212.33. And check answer. You see that? Look how many we did. This is the best way to subnetting. You have to practice and practice and practice. The more you do this, the more you get adjusted to it. That's what I wanted to show you. So what I would do is you watch this, I would still write down the numbers. I would still try to do it on a piece of paper. The more I practice, I start subnetting in my head. I do not need a calculator. I could solve any network problem just using my CPU. I could virtualize my CPU into different what like the way the hypervisor works, and that's how you subnet. Okay, so it's not complex as what you think. At the beginning, in my late '90s, early 2000s, like, oh, I just want to deal with a classful network at /24. Then I realized, no, it doesn't make sense, Mo. You have to actually deal with subnetting. There's no way you'll be working in an environment without a subnetted network. All right. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So we'll see you folks in our next lecture. Bye now. All right.